No, I wasn't
Okay,
ready for
how
it.
can people like you be fans of Vaush? He's so fucking stupid. Can you explain this to me? But,
Yeah.
oh
Okay.
God.
So I've defended. I've steel manned Vaush also from this conversation. I will say though that the is this a word? DGG jacketing? I think it should be a word. Like, oh, you were liberal. You don't fucking like da 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 da. You don't understand the thing. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, Destiny put up a video 3 hours ago, and now you're coming to talk to me about this. Like that was super frustrating to me. That bothered me almost more than anything else.
Yeah,
in
because
the
he's super
conversation.
poor. Yeah, I also find it weird that he pivots to my like when you ask him, like, oh, well, like, what do you think about this? He's like, well, Destiny in 2019
Yeah.
said this thing. It's like, why does that matter? Who the fuck cares what Destiny in 2019 said? Like,
Yeah, he wasn't. He caught on, like, yeah, I don't know. He wasn't interested in talking to. He was speaking to you and only you. Okay.
True, actually.
All right. Well,
Excuse me.
good luck on that. Have fun having SDL in chat, picking apart everything that you say. I do not envy your
know.
position.
Be well.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye.
Oh god, imagine if Destiny were to call me now. Oh fuck, Destiny doesn't. Oh, do I want to talk to him now? Or will people, realistically, the people that think I'm just like a fucking DGG clone or whatever, they're gone. They're gone already. Me talking to Destiny now isn't gonna change that. I don't think. My parents are getting divorced. Oh, and I'm between that being Destiny and Vaush. I didn't just get a message on my phone. Don't worry, guys. But what do I do? They've already been divorced, to be fair. It's way over. Bro, why the fuck is online politics like some goddamn Game of Thrones bullshit, dude? People think I'm like a fucking secret operator or whatever the fuck, sent by the Daliban kingdom to infiltrate the Vaush fortress. Like, bro, why? Why the fuck is it like this?
Hello,
Hi.
Rose.
Yes, that's me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing okay. You know what? I thought this was gonna be a fucking basic stream. I was just gonna talk about some taxes, go over a few videos or whatever. But now it became this whole thing. So I'm just, I wasn't ready for it.
How can people like you be fans of Vaush? He's so fucking stupid. Can you explain this to me? I truly don't understand, and I want to understand.
Fuck. I haven't thought like, okay. Fuck,
You realize that for the whole.
So
you
I
talked
haven't
like
thought
an
for
hour.
like the
You
entire
didn't-
thing,
you
like,
didn't
oh, I'm a
answer.
fan of this person. I'm not a fan of this person. It's like hey, like I appreciate people when they do good things, and I don't appreciate them when they do bad things.
What do you appreciate about Vaush? Tell me. I truly don't understand. Help me here.
Do you think there's no value at all to anything Vaush does?
No, I think there's negative value.
Okay.
The opposite of good value.
So hold on.
Worse than no value.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think that everything he does is either neutral of value or has negative value, or do you think that he has something that does positive value, but the things he does that does negative value just outweighs all that positive value?
The latter. I'm sure there are some things that's like I probably agree with most of his Ukraine stuff because he copied my foreign policy takes. But like, yeah, I mean, there are some things that he says that I'll probably agree with. But overwhelmingly, my political side would be better off if he didn't exist.
Okay. I haven't been super like into the fucking whole like lore behind exactly like why you have that perception. But
well, I mean, your conversation that you just had with him is a good example.
Yeah, that was a bit of a rough conversation. I agree with you, but I do honestly I think that there are things that he does poorly and that he does badly. There's things that I definitely disagree with him on. I've had many videos critiquing him. I've had like debates with him in the past, and I just see it as a lot more productive to like, hey, when he does those things that are valuable, give props to those. When he does the things that give negative value, like attack those or whatever. And that just seems way more productive than trying to like find some arbitrary categorization and classification of whether or not I'm a fan or overall this person's good or bad or whatever. Yeah.
Do you realize that for the conversation he didn't answer basically a single question, right?
He answered the basic ones, and then when we got to some of the more significant ones, I felt like I had to re-ask them multiple times, and for some of them I didn't get explicit answers, but I kind of got an implied answer. Which, to be fair, okay, I understand why for some of these he can't give the full answer, right? Because
hold on, careful, because now you're trying to say that his actual views are far more extreme than what he's willing to say on YouTube. So then, are you saying that he does dog whistle then?
I think even
Or
he
it's like,
ignores
or
that to
it's
some
like
extent.
it was like a crypto. Okay, because he got really upset because now you're basically accusing him of being crypto, right? That like
Not necessarily.
does-
No. So not necessarily. So Vaush even said this himself. Okay. So this is a fucking brand new thing. I'm brought into a call right after the debate to steelman my opposition in a new argument. But I think Vaush even said this in his thing, right? How regardless of whether or not something is like morally like correct or not, by virtue of TOS, you can still be banned for saying things that are like that are like morally righteous to say. And if he's saying that in the context of that conversation, that kind of implies that, hey, he has like these beliefs that he believes are morally righteous, but that he can't state like openly on YouTube because he might get banned for them. And I kind of took that as like as the proxy and
But
as
if those
the
morally
grounding for
righteous
my thing.
views have to do with in any other circumstance, we would say, okay, that's a crypto dog whistle, right? Like if Fuentes believes that truly the Holocaust isn't real, but he's a little bit worried about kind of being upfront about that, so he just kind of like makes jokes and like, oh, you know, how many cookies can you really bake in, you know, a few years with only that many ovens, right? We would argue that he's being crypto, right? Maybe he's scared of saying something because he doesn't want to get banned or whatever, right? Isn't that? But his base knows what he's talking about, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, to some extent, I think he's portraying like a message because obviously there is a situation there where there would be something that he would probably say differently if he wasn't worried about TOS. So yeah, I would think so, and I think even he would. Yeah, I think even he would agree with
Okay.
that. I think he
Also,
believes it.
philosophy is boring and it's for losers, and there's no point in ever doing anything ever. But okay, whenever Vaush makes this, have you ever heard of do you know what a tautology is? If I say that,
Yeah, it's basically something that's like it's like
X is
given the
X.
premises
It's
that's there. Like,
identity.
of course, it's like obviously.
No,
true,
no,
right?
no, no, not even.
No,
given
sorry,
the
not the premises. Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, what's an example
Given the
of a
word, this
tautology?
is the definition,
Yes.
basically.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck, I fucked up
whenever
my
you-
philosophy thing. God fucking damn.
You're
Okay.
good. It's for losers anyway.
Cringe.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Whenever
It's
he
important.
does-
Okay.
Whenever he does this shit, he does it all the time, and people let him weasel it up so much. If you ever in a conversation, don't ever let him say, "Well, I'm a consequentialist, therefore." He uses that to avoid answering any challenge. Like, "Well, I'm a consequentialist, so if it's good, it's good, and if it's bad, it's bad." God, he does this so much, it drives me crazy. Because he uses like, "Do you think violence is justified against lawmakers?" Well, if the outcome is good, then it's good, and if the outcome is bad, then it's bad. What the fuck are you saying? You're not saying anything meaningful. Stop letting him do that, okay? If you talk to me again, he'll probably never talk to you again.
I did ask him a few clarifying questions. So I was like, okay, and this is where we kind of got like the. So I asked him, so are you kind of like implying that there are a set of lawmakers where it would be justified? Because what he's getting at that statement is like, okay, if you murder the fucking like whatever the Republican person in your like small mayoral office or whatever the fuck, you know, who is a secretary, obviously that's probably fucking bad. But then there are other people for which you could probably make a stronger case, right? And he was saying that, and obviously he wasn't getting at probably the main reason for me asking that
Oh,
question.
shit. I'm sorry. Hold on. Are you streaming on Twitch right now?
No, wait. I think I read it away. Holy fuck! Hold on. Wait, did I read it away? Oh fuck. Oh, I think I did. I think I did. I'm hosting Lonerbox. Chill the fuck out, everybody. Okay, we're fine. We're chilling.
Okay, Jesus, because my chat just read that out. Okay, so I don't want you to
It's
get
fine. Okay,
go ahead.
Yeah. So when I'm fuck, what was the question you asked me again?
It was about the tautology thing that like, and it seemed like
Oh yeah,
he would just
exactly
say, like,
right.
good things
So
are good.
I did
and you're
ask
making, like, small
for
language here.
clarification. I was like, okay, so would you say that there are a group of like Republican lawmakers where it would be justified to do this thing to? And then he didn't answer that question. So yeah, obviously I agree with the outcomes and tautologies are a thing, and you should definitely press him on that. And I tried to press him a bit on that, but then we run into the like he's never gonna answer that question, right? Because of the limitations.
Sure, but I
of
mean, like,
TOS.
I feel like that's worth pointing out that he won't honestly engage with his views on the platform because they're too extreme. Because he is making
but
implicit
he
posts of
acknowledges this
violence.
himself, right? He even himself
No,
says
he
that there are...
that's the thing. The thing that frustrates me the most is that it seems like he wants to occupy two worlds. One in which he's not really calling for anything extreme at all. He's just talking about like normal self-defense. But then in the other world, he's like kind of like winking to his audience, is like, but if you guys did kill some of those lawmakers, I mean, like it's totally justifiable. Like that's what it feels like he's doing. You need to make sure real quick. Also, I don't think it's live, but just make sure your Twitch stream is off, okay? Even if you hosted somebody.
Oh wait, is that how that works?
Maybe, yeah.
Oh fuck. Okay. Well, I'll try to figure out how the fuck I end. I actually have no idea. Whatever. If I get banned, I get banned.
Well, no.
I legitimately I don't know how the fuck to do it. Okay, I'm restreaming. I'm currently restreaming. How do I end
Like,
one
are you
stream?
streaming to something called Restream.io or?
Yeah, restream.io. I can probably do it through Restream, right? Or
Yeah, if you go through the website, there's a way where you can shut off.
Okay, I got
just
it.
one of the Twitch streams.
There we go.
Okay, good.
all right.
Nice.
Thank you. Wow. For somebody who's been banned a lot, you know how to avoid the bans really well.
Well, we make mistakes so we can help others not make them.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you, but I have to ask one thing on your question specifically. So the question that you asked, or that you wanted me to forward was, if they could get away with it with no consequences, should they kill Republican lawmakers consequentially? What are you trying to get at with this?
The thing that I don't like is that it seems like I think that there are interesting moral conversations to have about justifications to violence, but he avoids all of the interesting conversations by just saying like, well, consequentially, it's bad, so therefore don't. But it's like, well, but that doesn't seem like what you're calling. That's not the action that you're calling people to, and it doesn't seem like that's the moral justification you're giving. So if you're gonna say, so like he'll say some shit like, oh, like I think like killing lawmakers, maybe, but it's bad because like if you get caught or it's bad for them. It's like, okay, well, let's say that you could do it in a stealth way. Let's say that you could let's say that you had a death note and you could write a whole bunch of conservative lawmakers' names into the death note, and they have heart attacks and they die. Now you've avoided all the negative consequences. So now is that acceptable to you? Then that gets at a more interesting question of like, is there some moral justification to preemptively murder lawmakers that are passing legislation that might restrict the rights of certain groups?
Okay.
Because that's where the interesting conversation is. Not this bullshit like, oh, consequentially it's bad if it's bad and if it's good if it's good. Like that's boring. No
I
one
understand.
cares.
And I think that's even what I because that got brought up later in the conversation. And I think I even clarified that specifically. Because Vaush was like, oh, okay, well, like what you're essentially asking me is like, okay, well, controlling for the outcomes of this would be okay, which is silly. You would never control for the outcomes. And then I pointed out that, like,
and then
hey,
he started to make fun of you. He was like, oh, well, in this hyper world,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
super hypothetical. Yeah,
but
like,
then I even
so
said that. I said that in the thing there specifically, that it's not that's not what it is. It's simply the fact that, like, hey, assuming that we in this instance like get rid of the immediate like political harms that come from that come from like that type of action in terms of like there being repercussions towards your political movement or whatever, would you be okay with that? Or is there another like general rule or whatever? Which
but then I think he just kept getting mad when you would try to push him on an answer for that.
Exactly.
Like, oh, this is Fed posting.
I did clarify that there as well. So I think I caught that because I think I then I understood that the purpose of your question, but I just want to make sure to find out if you weren't actually just trying to Fed post them and clip jump him. But yeah, it seems like
no, I don't because to be honest, and he kind of alludes to this, but he's just so lost up his own ass that he doesn't know. Like there are probably things that he would say that I would agree with, or there are interesting conversations to have about like how culpable is a voter for violent legislation, right? We can go to the 9/11 question, right? Did America deserve 9/11? I think there's a lot of interesting conversation to be had around there. I just don't like how ambiguously he does like this basically call to violence shit, and then he just plays it off like, oh, well, I'm just being innocent, I don't blah, 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 and then he acts like a dumb fuck. Like if you want to have the hard conversations, have the hard conversations, and there are a lot of interesting conversations to have there, but don't like run away from it all and claim, oh, I didn't mean any of that, because you just feel stupid and lazy.
Yeah, and they keep like it kept being brought up to this the take you had before about I think it was DACA recipients or whatever they had a few years ago.
Yeah, it was annoying that he keeps referencing my.
Can am I correct in saying that you weren't saying that would be a moral thing to do? You were just saying that you could formulate a fairly intuitively satisfactory moral like justification for that, correct? Or
I mean, I was definitely saying the latter, and I was probably implying the former, but I think I would still kind of stand by that. Like when you're at a level where like a country is looking to deport you forcibly, and this is like a country you're like born into or whatever, I think there are really strong arguments there. Now, from a consequentialist standpoint, I don't know if I'd say it's a good idea, but I would also say that if it was similar for LGBT people, I'd also say the same thing. If like there were serious like attempts by the president to deport all LGBT people, and somebody like Vaush saying, like, listen, if you're fucking LGBT, if you get guns and shit, like I understand, I would be, yeah, that's understandable, sure. Like we were one Supreme Court vote away from Trump ending DACA, which is basically a program. My understanding is that DACA is basically there's a bunch of people that were brought here as children from illegal immigrants, and DACA is a way to kind of like track them and register them so that they have like this. It's like a deferred action. Like you can stay here and chill and work and everything. Just make sure you're registered with the government. Don't commit any crimes. It's a pretty positive program. And if you remove DACA, you're basically taking a kid that was brought here when he's 2 years old, and then now he's 22, and you're like kicking him out of the country. Like, get the fuck out of here. It's like, wait, what the fuck? Like, that's some crazy shit. So I don't like it that he compares when I'm saying, like, the government is about to kick you out of the only country you've ever known and throw you in the fucking Mexican border, that's the same as in some state legislatures, some Republican lawmakers are talking about making puberty blockers illegal for 12-year-olds.
Okay, well,
I don't think that's fair to come.
okay,
Yeah, go.
just steal my Vaush again. Here we go.
Go.
So what he's essentially saying that he's not saying that a genocide is currently ongoing, but he's saying that
He has said that, but go ahead.
has he said that there's a has he said that because
I do believe, yeah, he's literally said that, like, yes, it is happening right now, like it's already happening. I believe that is like the statements that.
Okay, because when I asked him even directly at the beginning of that conversation, I was like, hey, do you believe a genocide is currently ongoing? And he said no.
He goes back and forth, but I don't want to misquote. If somebody in my chat has a clip, but I believe he said that, like, with the legislation that's being passed, no, hold on. He says that we're like stage 5 out of whatever to getting to the beginning stages of genocide. Is what he's saying. Yeah, sorry.
And what he's essentially saying there is that, like, hey, we're at a place right now where there is a lot of dehumanization going on towards LGBT individuals. Specifically, this whole that, hey, LGBT people are like grooming your fucking kids. They're all like pedophile, rapists, whatever the fuck. And that type of dehumanization is very often like a starting point that you then use to like bounce off of into like really heavily like authoritarian and fucked up policies against that like group. And that's what he's essentially saying. And he thinks that the chances of that keeping like for that to keep escalating are significant. That's what he's saying.
Sure.
And like, given that you believe that, right? Given that you believe that, so given that you are Vaush and you see this happening, you see that that's a beginning state, like a very clear beginning state of genocide, which is the very like stark dehumanization.
Well, not beginning stage, but like stage 5 out of whatever. So
exactly,
right,
yeah. So like in like a prominent step of genocide. Then that kind of like it's a bit different than like, because you were saying like, oh, you know, DACA, you know, people being deported from the only country that they know versus not being allowed to be on puberty blockers. That's not quite where Vaush the like, you know, the optimally phrased thing would be then your statement was about, you know, people being deported from the only country that they've ever known and completely turning their livelihood upside down. And then Vaush would like characterize his position as you're living within a country that is actively trying to dehumanize you and put you in a position where the average population is more likely to be willing to vote for violence against you, right? So just to balance
his position is like, he's like, but these are like the tweets he's making, right? People need to understand that we are potentially not far from mass arrest / purges of trans people. Like what, like. But we're not. Where is it? Like, the fact that today we're having, like, and again, I don't know if these people, because I don't want to say terminal online because I'm super online, but like, we're having mainstream conversations about puberty blockers for 14-year-olds. That's an unbelievable amount of progress for trans shit in the United States. Like, holy fuck. It's like a huge, yeah. So to say that we're at that point, but now we're on the verge of genocide, like, wait, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, so we can kind of have this conversation on 2 dimensions, right? We can have the conversation that, okay, hold on, I'm gonna ask you this. Given that you agree with Vaush on the, unless you think he's like lying and he doesn't actually believe that this is happening, which you may very well believe, I'm not sure, but given that you believe what Vaush's stated like descriptive analysis of the situation is, would you say that any of his prescriptions are like super crazy?
No, of course not. I would agree with all of them 100%.
Yeah, so then the issue is on the prescription.
Like, I don't think January 6th was a bad event. I think January 6th logically follows, assuming you believe that the election was actually stolen, right?
Okay.
Like, it should have been, 100%.
Yeah,
but then the issue then becomes, my problem is the misinformation from Vaush. Like, if we were at an area where, like, trans people were legitimately about to be deported or genocided or some shit, and it's like, yeah, fuck. Like, I think there are some things that are worth fighting for. This might be it.
Yeah, and I agree with you. So then the core issue that we have right now with or that you would have, because once again, I would like to have a more fleshed out comprehensive understanding of more of the specific descriptive grounds of this, but given that this is what's going on, the main issue that you would have then with what Vaush is saying isn't necessarily his prescriptions. That's not what's breaking here. The broken thing in his analysis is the descriptive underpinnings, right? And essentially, what Vaush feels like that you're attacking the prescriptive bit when that like follows.
I understand. So here, this is where the issue comes in, though, right? And the prescriptions almost become part of the descriptions, and then they start to poison each other. Okay. So here's like a prescription that I'm on the fence about, but you might be able to get me to agree, is the idea that, like, should we punch Nazis in the street? Okay. I think that I could be argued that we probably should. I think you could get me there, potentially, depending on, but I think you could get me there. But now the problem is every single person that believes that thinks that, like, Nazi describes 40% of the population. Well, now my prescription is probably going to change a lot based on the descriptions that I think the people that are subscribing to those prescriptions believe, right?
Yeah.
So if Vaush is saying shit like we need to kill people that are, because Vaush's prescription isn't even controversial. Like we should be enacting almost preemptive violence against like genocidal people. Yeah, of course. Yeah, duh, no shit. That's like a given, of course. But the problem is,
the thing is,
like,
when I
everybody
answered that, he kind of did like a fucking Pepe, like, oh, you believe violence is like, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
like,
he thinks he's got some big gotcha, but the issue isn't that. That's not the issue. The issue is his description. That like we're constantly on the verge of genocide or something. Like that's the problem with what he's saying.
Yeah, and I agree that now that the prescription becomes fucked up because the description is poorly, but the
Exactly.
core issue is the descriptive grounds.
Yeah.
And I feel like I feel like Vaush is getting the impression that what people are having a core issue with is the prescriptive. On its own, like in isolation, and that's
Yeah,
why
because he keeps
has...
trying to corner you and ask you like, oh, well, if you think somebody was being, yeah. Oh, and that was the thing too. And so I knew exactly, even without pre-watching, I knew exactly how you were going to answer every question because he thought. And this is another thing that reveals, I think, the stupidity of how little he's thought through anything. It's because he thought he was going to get you on asking you hard questions, but they weren't hard to answer at all.
Yeah.
If a cop was about to kill somebody unjustifiably, do you think that person could kill the cop? Yeah, of course. What do you mean? Like, did you really think that was going to be a gotcha? Do you think everybody is like puts as little thought into their systems as you do? Like, it was such a stupid thing. But then you notice how he got more frustrated at the end. He was like, okay, well, can you give me an exact situation every single time where you'd be okay to kill everyone? I was like, you're not asking him that. Nobody's even making these types of demands of him. Like, why is he like, yeah, but
Yeah.
oh,
Okay.
God.
So I've defended. I've steelmanned Vaush also from this conversation. I will say though that holy fuck the is this a word, DGG jacketing? I think it should be a word. The fucking like, oh, you know, you were liberal, you don't fucking like
yeah.
you don't understand
Okay,
the thing.
talk to liberals.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, you know, Destiny put up a video 3 hours ago and now you're coming to talk to me about this. Like that type of shit. That was super frustrating to me. That bothered me almost more than anything else.
Yeah,
in
because
the
he's super
conversation.
poisoning the well, and you're already fucked. There's nothing you can say. In the eyes of his audience, you're literally like.
And then he even
DGG.
denied like that implication to some extent. That like I had to
Yeah,
I had to
because
fucking
they
like
said
drag
in
that
his
out.
system. He's like, well, I'm not saying you were. I'm just saying that if I look at the entire set of descriptive facts laid out leading to this point, it wouldn't be irrational for me to say that you were. But I'm not saying you were. Yeah, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, that was really annoying, and it feels like okay. So I'm in the mind of Vaush now. I understand what he means because he has a perception of the liberals' implication toward or disposition towards violence, I should say, and how
But it doesn't
liberals.
even make sense because liberals are violent as fuck. We literally killed the Nazis in World War II. We go to war all over the fucking country,
Okay.
all over the planet for
Okay.
shit. How are liberals the non-violent ones? What the fuck?
Once again, okay. Aside from the descriptive reality of sides, okay, which there's a whole conversation to be had there. But okay, in the shoes of Vaush at the moment, okay, given that you have this perception of like liberal ideology when it comes to violence as being very reluctant towards using force to the point where it leads to more harm, like kind of like passive harm that occurs by not taking action, and the way by which he gets at that was not by like asking questions, although he eventually did because I pressured him into that, but he gets to that kind of aspect of what he believes liberal ideology is through a belief in liberal policy. And I hold the belief in a lot of liberal policy. And then because of that, he assumed that I also had a liberal ideologue belief. So when he calls me like, you know, liberal, whatever, Stockton, whatever the fuck, I know he's talking about my policy principally. But then he would use that as sufficient justification to also say that I have these dumb opinions of violence. And then when I pressed him on the violence, I was like, hold on, instead of using like my policies as a proxy for violence, how about you just ask me about violence? And then I was able to answer all those questions, and then we answered all those questions, and then he went back to the fucking policies as being like an indication. Yeah, like sure,
Yeah, liberals can't deal with this.
exactly. When like I dealt with the entire time, and it feels like he's stuck. He's conflated the policies of liberalism with like the violence thing, and thinks those are like inextricably linked, and those are one and the same. When one of them can be like an indication of the other, given his worldview, right? That was fucking annoying. And then the DGG thing, which he was. It felt like honestly, you were there in spirit, okay?
Yeah, people have derangement syndrome, dude. Hassan and Vaush, where they're like constantly looking over their shoulder. They think I'm about to be like dragged in a secret call, and they're gonna get fucking Steven Crowder or something.
Yeah, like
But it seems weird when because he's marketing himself as like the big debater, logical, rational philosophy bro. Like, it doesn't seem kind of weird to be that. Doesn't it seem a little bit strange to be that afraid that somebody's gonna pop up and ask you a question or two? Like,
yeah, I don't know. It was that, and I was so like I was open about it the entire time. There's no like bad history or whatever, except for one debate where he called me a fucking lib. Like just like this type of thing, and for that to be like I'd be super hardline into that was just that was really frustrating. Like, fuck yeah, I don't know. And also, it was really weird because he kept saying like, if I were to debate him on this, he would like go coward out of all his positions, and it feels weird to say like, oh, yeah, I won't debate this person, but if I were to debate them, it would go this and this and this way, and this is the arguments that they
Yeah.
make. Like just chat to them at this point. But then when I suggested that, he was like, oh, Destiny's like an obsessed psycho stalker,
True.
which kind of like kills that discussion. There was like, why even bring it up? Why even bring up how a discussion would go if you are not willing to have that discussion?
Yeah, I also find it weird that he pivots to my, like, when you ask him, like, oh, well, like, what do you think about this? Like, well, Destiny in 2019
Yeah,
said
fucking
this thing.
hell.
It's like, why does that matter? Who the fuck cares what Destiny in 2019 said? Like,
Yeah,
I
he
don't
he
know.
wasn't he caught on, like, yeah, I don't know, he wasn't interested in talking to, he was speaking to you and only you, okay?
True, actually.
You were the real person he was streaming for just those few minutes ago. But yeah, I don't know, that was really frustrating, and I felt like it really distracted. And then I also felt like, I don't know, he made all these, I feel like he might be a bit used to throwing out accusations of like bias, bad faith, misframing, whatever.
Mhm.
But then every time I interrogated him on it, none of it had any ground.
Yeah.
And we just, and the
Oh yeah,
conversation
because
kind
you
of
asked him
died.
multiple times, but he wants again, he wants to have it both ways. He doesn't want to actually like accuse you of being bad faith, but he'll like make all of the dance arounds of it. But then when you ask him like, have you felt like I've said a single thing in bad faith? He won't. He just like, well, no, none of your questions about bad. Yeah, he wants to live in both worlds.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
Yeah, that was aggravating. That was annoying. But yeah, fuck. Yeah, it was a. I did not expect it to go that well. All I had going into this was like a fucking notepad with like 4 questions, and then it turned into a 2-hour debate, which I didn't even intend for it to be a debate. It was just meant to be like just asking questions, Pepe, like in the beginning,
Mhm.
and then just turned into that. I don't know. What's your verdict? DGG analyst desk. Is the bridge burned? Do you think?
Oh yeah, he thinks you're a DGG agent, especially now that you just came and talked to me afterwards. So now you're super fucked.
But okay, fuck. Well, fuck. Yeah, I mean that's entirely possible. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out if the bridge is burned or not. But yeah, fuck. I've managed to deal with this divorce decently well, but now it seems like the shrapnel's finally catching up to me, um, which is very deeply unfortunate. But yeah, fuck. That's what. What have you been up to today on stream? What have you been covering except for this? Which I mean, except for sending me all your preparation notes for exactly how I should deal with this debate.
True. I've just been chilling, playing V Rising, listening to you and Vaush. Oh, I was gonna go over the. Have you heard anything? This is so weird. Have you heard about the trans panic killing or whatever?
Yeah, from what I actually, you're probably about to say this. From my understanding, that Transpanic didn't actually play a part in the defense at all.
Yeah, no, nobody is trans in this. I don't understand why people are saying it's trans panic. Well, no, I mean, if I'm being good faith, I understand why people are saying it, but that's not like what it all is happened.
So was there no trans person involved in this at all?
No,
The
so
trans, because I know the Transpanic defense wasn't involved in the defense, but were trans people just not involved at all?
here's what happened. So there's this like hold on, I get so scared about passing time and losing this game. So there was basically a guy that it seems like I want to say he's in his late 30s, early 40s, but this guy goes onto Tinder and he tries to catfish people, pretending that he's a young woman, and he'll meet them in like dark areas and blow them. Is basically what he did. So he did it one time to this football player who was 18, and then I don't know for the second part. The football player went back to his house, I think, a month later to hook up again, I think. And then in the midst of that hookup, he reaches around and realizes that it's a guy. And then at that point, he claims that the guy noticed, he got up and he tried to grope him, and then he went to grab a knife, and then the football player, I think, punched him 5 times in the face and then kicked him 3 times and left. And then that's, yeah.
Did they die or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. Some people in chat are saying it was just to confirm the gender, but the story that I read was that he had claimed that the guy was on the bed on all fours, bent over, like about to get fucked, and then the football player realized that the dude was that's what I read, but I don't know. I was gonna go through some news stories today, but yeah, there are no trans people involved in any of the story. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting that.
Yeah, things circulate like so fast when it comes to stuff like this. Like that's one of the most demotivating things, I think, out of anything. How you will have these these stories, and they would be blown up into something. And sometimes they're correct, but a lot of the times it's like they're deeply incorrect. I mean, you can think of like high profile examples. You can think of like Rittenhouse as one of the greatest examples probably of like the internet age, in regards to in regards to this type of phenomena, where it just everything just spirals out of control, and by the time the truth actually comes out, nobody gives a fuck anymore.
No one cares anymore. I'm confident that if I could take a poll of left-leaning people in America, I think at least 25% of people, maybe more, think that at least one of the people that Rittenhouse killed was black. I really do think that. You even saw politicians
Breonna Taylor in the
sometimes
bed as
saying-
well. That's another one.
Yeah, I mean that's another one too. But like the Rittenhouse killing black people, because that's just such an easily look at anything and you see that. Yeah, but
Yeah, it's just like shit is so fucked. Like, and that's one of the main reasons why I am, and it's okay. This is the system. Okay, is forcing me to do this. All right. If I didn't do it, somebody else would have. How like with all this like breaking like new stuff, it's like it's a double-edged sword, because in the beginning, information is likely to be inaccurate, and there's likely to be a bunch of problems in regards to it, and a lot of the times it might be ran with for a political narrative. And then it's really important to comment it there, because then it can be used for a lot of social capital, political capital, or whatever at the very beginning. But the grounds you have to stand on, like factually, are so thin, and there's a lot of like risk for misinformation spreading around or whatever. But then when a bit of time passes, the full story, the original one may or may not have been correct. If you talk about that there, nobody literally cares. Nobody cares. So you essentially have to do a gamble where you, if you want to, if you like really care about your like an idea or like a political movement or a specific social issue or whatever it is, you basically like have to comment and talk and have an opinion on these things right when they come out. Because if you don't do it, the opposition is going to do it. And
yeah,
and
that
then
was
you're
essentially
in
kind
trouble.
of that was where basically I don't know if you're listening to talk about this, but that was the exact position that I kind of arrived at. That it's like I don't like ever covering breaking news because it's cancer, but then if you don't cover it, you're basically ceding all of that ground to other people that do cover it, and it's like fuck. It's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you handle that now?
I don't usually cover it because I find it boring because I hate breaking news, but sometimes I will if there's like a lot of shit going on. It just depends on the story, but yeah.
Okay. This is actually something I've been meaning to ask you about. That I forgot to last time. So you talk a lot about how you no longer like pushing a political project isn't something you care about. Like as much anymore. It's mostly just.
What do you mean by that?
So when you do your streaming thing, I think you've said on multiple occasions that I don't aim to push a political project. I'm just here to like find the truth or just have interesting conversations or whatever. Am I incorrect in saying that, or have you said that?
I mean, by virtue of what we do, we're always kind of pushing something political.
Yeah, of
but I
course.
mean, like, I am more kind of like trying to like point out people that can be on my side. I'm trying to bridge people, I guess. That's not so lame to say, but yeah, I'm trying to like show that like, look, anybody can talk to anybody. We have like a lot of common ground and shit, basically. Yeah.
Okay. So then I would characterize that as a political project then, because what I was thinking
Yeah,
about is
sure.
that especially given the debate you had with Vaush, I think when it came to the you should do what you can given your set of like abilities and tools or whatever to have influence upon the world, how people should act in accordance with their values. And if you have these political beliefs of yours and you arrive at them through a belief that this is the most moral thing that leads to the most net good outcomes for, I think for you it's human beings, right? At the end of the day, and that's what you really care about, then wouldn't that put some form of like obligation of you to like explicitly, if you have the opportunity like you do with your YouTube channel, whatever, to like explicitly push like a political thing that would lead to outcomes or push towards outcomes that you would perceive to be as better morally for the world as a
Yeah,
whole?
I mean, I think I've done that more than probably any, well, maybe not any, but like 99% of at least left-leaning content creators. If it's the things that I've tried, or like the conversations I have, or the way that I engage with people. Like, I think I try to put my best foot forward there. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
I mean, if you don't think like I do enough, or whatever, I guess you can always argue that. But like, I'm definitely like, I think I'm pretty happy with like the contributions I made and the things I've attempted to do and everything.
Yeah,
And then, like,
it's
the way that I conduct myself. Yeah.
yeah, it's not that you don't do enough or anything. Like honestly, fucking Omaha and Georgia like on their own just fucking like blows everything else pretty much any other like streamer or whatever has ever done out of the water completely. Like it's not even close. But yeah, so my argument isn't about like, oh, you're not doing enough or whatever. It's just that like when I heard you say that, I just felt like, oh, like it's strange that you would say you don't have like you're not like pushing a specific political project when it seems like that would kind of like you would be kind of morally obligated to put some efforts into that specifically, given your
Yeah, I guess like before I was like way more like outwardly kind of like, this is like who I am, like these are the debates I'm going to do, and blah 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 blah. Whereas right now, I think that the thing I do the best is I think I'm capable of communicating with a lot of different people and like finding common ground between a lot of different people. So that's kind of a strength that I want to play on right now.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. And in a way, I think that that is essentially like a social issue, right? Because the social issue you're combating there is polarization and even misinformation. Probably you could argue is included within that, and obviously going like all in on that, which I can definitely empathize with. I do think that's probably the most, if not one of the most, if not the most, like pressing issue that we have right now, which is misinformation and polarization. So I can definitely understand. I was just confused by the wordings you used there.
Oh, sure. I might go dimmer at some point. And just if I find a good video game and get good at it, I'll just quit entirely. But that's your guys' fault. Fuck you.
Oh, fuck. Well, you know what? I wouldn't blame you, to be honest. Like I've been doing this for way less time than you have, and at some point it's just like, fuck. Yeah. What's the like? It just feels like it's an endless like chicken race. I don't think that's an expression in English, but it just we're not getting anywhere. It's just contributing to toxicity, people feeling worse, and nothing really material gets done, and we just get distracted in all these random fucking bullshit things, and it's not healthy. It's just rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand. People want me to ask you about the Lauren debate you had.
Which one?
The
Watching
one,
her documentary or some?
not the document. I think the one you had before, like I think it was like on YouTube, like finally confronting Lauren or something.
Oh, yeah, we had a conversation about. I think it was stochastic terrorism.
How did you feel that went?
Not good. I don't know what happened. I didn't see what was going on in the stream beforehand, but she was really heated before. Most of my conversations with her are decent. Like the one I had with Peace going her were decent, but that one was really bad. She was.
Yeah, it was okay. Fuck, I wish I could ask more, but I actually have not come around to watching this. I have been on a politics detox since my debate last weekend.
Nice.
Because I had to like do so much reading in preparation. There's only so many videos of Nick Fuentes and Baked Alaska you can watch before you want to fucking take a break.
Fuentes is more interesting, but Baked Alaska is kind of.
I swear, did he even make a single argument in our debate?
No, I don't think so. I don't.
Wait, never mind. He did. He did make the argument that I'm not American, so
True.
he did.
I think he's just kind of like a memer a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Like, actually, I should have told you this before, and I should have said it during the debate. His story is actually pretty interesting. He was Baked Alaska.
Baked Alaska?
Yeah, he was
Oh,
originally.
because he came from the Ice Poseidon crew, yeah.
I don't know enough of. I don't know anything about that actually. That's one of the things that didn't come up for
damn.
me. But I know like some of his other history. Like he was like a rapper and YouTube prankster, and then he was really good with social media. And then he got a job at BuzzFeed. And he had a job at BuzzFeed, and he worked there for a while until one day, one of his like coworkers made a remark about him because he had said something about a spirit animal, and then one of his coworkers was like, "That's like cultural insensitive or whatever." And then he said that like began his radicalization towards the alt-right. And then he was on the alt-right, and he was like he marching in Charlottesville and everything. You know, you will not replace us. Like there's a video of him holding the camera saying that thing, just like marching over in Charlottesville. And he was doing that entire thing for a while, and then. Christchurch happened, and then he basically made a video like renouncing everything, literally doing the stochastic terrorist arguments for why the alt-right is bad and meme culture and like all this entire thing going around there. He became a diehard Yang ganger, made a song, like a rap song about how based Yang is, and then when he didn't get any attention for that, he went back to being like a far-right Trump person, and now he is where he is today. So he has a story. But yeah, that's pretty much that's that. But yeah, I think those were the main. Did you have anything else that you were thinking about in that conversation? Did you feel cathartic? Did you feel irritated? How did you feel?
And the one that you, me, and Fuentes had, or
no, the one between me and Vaush.
No, it's kind of sad. I think watching him. Yeah, whatever he is today is very sad and distorted. But I'm never really as disappointed in the content creators because I understand, like, I can understand why Vaush takes the way that he does. I'm just more surprised that so many people can get duped by it. It's like very interesting to me, I guess. Or like people will watch that conversation with you and him, and they think that like he's like making good arguments or he's doing well, and it's like, what is? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that my main issue with that, because like making poor arguments or whatever, that's one thing. But I think that the main thing for me that was really irritating was I didn't feel like he was engaging. He wasn't engaging with me. He was using me as like a
Shadow boxing me or something. Yeah, some
no,
weird.
like
shit.
you, GGG, like liberals as a whole, fucking YouTube TV, like all of these things, and that was the most like irritating and annoying thing for me. And I think that's like probably a lot more of a, yeah, I think that's a it's hard to say bigger problem on a whole, but I think that's probably more of like a fundamental problem
Yeah,
in
it's
my
annoying.
eyes.
Lauren does that a lot when we'll argue, where she'll say shit like, "Well, liberals were supporting BLM," and it's like, bro, who the fuck do you think you're talking about? Why the fuck are you telling me this? Do you think I support BLM riots? Like, yeah, when people like kind of web you like that and they start making you be culpable for things that other like, yeah, what the fuck? I don't say this shit. Like, yeah, it's irritating because they're not even talking to you at that point.
Yeah, that was annoying. I didn't like that at all, but
Mhm.
that was real fun. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Do you have anything else?
No, stay safe, be careful. I love you, buddy.
Yeah, I love you too. Bye bye. Bye DGG. You people who sent me on this quest to debate Vaush.
Don't, if you joke about it, he's gonna believe it.
I mean, fuck. You know what? It's I'm gonna be honest. Okay, if anyone to believe I was sent here by DGG before I came on to talk, I don't think that me coming to talk to you now afterwards is going to change very many people. It's just gonna solidify people who believed it, and the other people are just gonna be like whatever still. But who knows? Maybe not. All right. Enjoy your video games. Bye bye.
Be careful, bud.
Oh boy. All right. It was a good conversation. Fuck, I needed to say something to Melina in Swedish. I forgot. God damn it. Rose running, Rose is a coward. So true. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Back like a lot of what Destiny's in. Pretty aggressively too. I was probably more aggressive with Destiny in that conversation than I was in Vaush and Hours. I think so, right? Probably. Oh man.